Hey everybody! In today's tutorial, I'm taking part in Justine Hovey's 12 Days of Christmas video hop. So thank you for being here. I'm going to show you a stencil printing technique with a beautiful stencil from Simon Says Stamp and some of my favorite products from Paper Artsy, which are the Infusions powdered watercolors. To begin this project, I have taped down the stencil onto a Strathmore watercolor card. I love these cards. They're large. If you want to send a larger card, you can also cut them down. But it's a folded note card made of watercolor paper. And if you're wondering if I own stock in 3M, I do not. But I wanted to actually mask out this floral section of this beautiful stencil to capture just that part of the design. So I used a combination of 3M Post-it tape and Post-its to mask off the rest of the card. Now I've added the Paper Artsy Infusions in Golden Sands, Raspberry, a bit Jaded, and Slime, and activated them with water. And I'm just adding a little bit more in where I think I need to see more of the stencil design at the edges where I have a little bit of white space. And you want to use both the pigment and the water lightly when using these products. The pigment is very intense and it can get too dark on you quickly, so a little bit really does go a long way. But the color separation that you get with these is just phenomenal. So now here's where you get the 2-for-1 part. I'm taking another watercolor card and I am doing a mono print with it from the wet watercolor that's down in my stencil, as well as the wet watercolor that's sitting up on top of it, and I get a negative image with the same product. So you kind of get 2 cards for one, and you can see the beautiful color separation there. Now, there are some people, I've heard of people who actually can wait for things to dry. I don't know if that's a genetic disorder or what it is, but I do not have that ability. I just pick things up when they're wet, and sometimes I mess stuff up. But that's part of just creating and playing and enjoying the process. So I'm not going to wait for this to dry. I'm going to go ahead and remove this stencil. And the thing about watercolor is it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you do get a little extra here or there on your card, it's just part of that atmospheric fun that watercolor provides. So I'm removing the 3,000 pieces of tape. Now you can really make a big mess with this wet tape, so I am going to get that away from my work surface. And lift up the stencil, and you can see a little bit went outside of the design, but on the whole, it really looks sharp. And when I dab the area that was underneath the stencil off, just with a dry baby wipe, you can see the reveal of the design of the stencil, which I'm going to enhance to give it even more of a stained glass look. I'm using just a Jelly Roll white pen here. It's not the brightest white pen, and I'm doing that on purpose because this is a very intricate stencil, and I want to make sure I get the lines right before I commit to the bright white of a Posca pen, which I'll do in just a minute. I chose the Infusions because I think their color separation really gives them the look of stained glass, and it was perfect for this stencil. And this is a very fun Zen activity, tracing all of these little lines. And if I make a little mistake, like I said, the ink is light. I don't have to commit to it in the second part where I'll do the Posca pen. So now I can unmask the top of my card before I start working on the Posca section, but I just wanted to show you how different these two look, even though I used the same process to get both. Now here's a little tip for curving stamps in your MISTI. If you actually put the My Sweet Petunia piece of acetate down on top of your card and then try to curve your stamp around, the stamp will stick so much better to the acetate and you won't be fighting it, which you might sometimes do when you're just trying to curve a stamp that's sitting on a piece of paper. So that's my little tip for you. I hope you enjoyed these projects. Thanks so much for being here today as part of this video hop, and thanks so much for watching.